You're not failing to manifest because you're doing something wrong. You're failing to manifest because you're doing too much of what isn't required, and almost none of it is your fault. You've been taught to pursue your desires the same way you've been taught to pursue success, love, or safety, through effort, repetition, and action. But the quantum doesn't work like that. The quantum doesn't respond to effort, it responds to coherence. And coherence is the exact opposite of forcing. The universe isn't listening to your effort, it's listening to your signal. And when your signal is scrambled by desperation, overthinking, control, or expectation, the field doesn't know what to collapse. Not because you're unworthy, not because you're blocked, but because the vibration you're emitting is one of chaos, not clarity. So here's the first truth no one told you. The quantum field is conscious. Not in the way you're used to thinking. It doesn't judge, compare, or calculate. It reflects. It mirrors. It tunes itself to what you are, not what you ask for. And what you are isn't determined by your vision board or how many times you repeat your affirmation. It's determined by how still your energy is beneath the surface. By how much you trust what you can't yet see. By how much you are willing to feel like it's already yours, without the proof, without the guarantee, without the outcome to hold on to. And that's where most people collapse. Not their reality, their frequency. Because the moment doubt creeps in, the moment discomfort arises, the moment the timeline seems too quiet, they try to fix it. They double down. They push harder. They grasp at rituals, signs, and numbers, trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. They think, if I do more, maybe the universe will notice me. Maybe the field will respond. But the quantum field doesn't respond to noise. It responds to resonance. And resonance isn't loud. It's stable. It's the invisible signal of alignment that says, I'm not waiting for it. I already am it. The shift happens not when you visualize perfectly, but when your body, breath, and field settle into the feeling that there is nothing left to chase. That's when your frequency becomes magnetic, because it's not full of demand. It's full of presence. You might think, but I need to want it. Isn't desire the engine of creation? Yes. And no. Desire is the spark, but need is interference. When you need something so badly that you cannot rest in its absence, your energy says it's not here. And the quantum, conscious as it is, tunes to exactly that. This is why so many manifestations stall at 99%. You feel it. You see it. You're so close you could touch it. But then, nothing. Why? Because just before it collapses into form, your signal destabilizes. You fall out of coherence. You slip into doubt. And the field, ever so precisely, mirrors that shift. So the real secret is not to manifest harder. It's to become undisturbed, not numb, not passive, but energetically calm, trusting, still. Because from that place, your frequency becomes readable, clean, clear. The field doesn't have to guess. It knows, and it responds. This isn't something you push your way into. You surrender your way into it. And surrender isn't giving up. It's giving over. It's the art of stepping back from the version of you that's always grasping and stepping into the version of you that's already aligned, already magnetic, already home. So maybe the question isn't, how do I manifest faster? Maybe it's, what part of me is still trying to force what I could be relaxing into? Because if the quantum field is conscious, and it is, then it knows exactly what frequency you're operating from. And it isn't fooled by words. It isn't impressed by rituals. It only mirrors what you are. This is the real practice, not to get louder, but to get clearer. Not to try harder, but to trust deeper. Not to manifest through control, but through coherence. You've tried to force the field before. We all have. But what if you didn't have to? What if the entire game changed the moment you stopped transmitting chaos and started transmitting calm? That's what we'll explore next. Can I show you how? Let me show you what no one else is explaining. When you send out a desire from a space of chaos, urgency, or inner dissonance, The field doesn't respond to the content of your thought. It responds to the quality of your presence. And presence is not measured by how focused you are on the outcome. It's measured by how stable your frequency is without needing the outcome to appear. This is what no one told you. You don't manifest through attention, you manifest through regulation. Not nervous system regulation in the clinical sense, although that matters, but vibrational regulation, internal steadiness, emotional coherence, energetic integrity. In simple terms, the quieter your energy becomes, the louder your signal gets. The field doesn't mirror your words, it mirrors your tone, not your voice tone, your frequency tone. And when that tone is heavy, shaky, or overcharged with longing, it doesn't say, "I want this." It says, "I don't trust it." And the quantum field, which operates on resonance, returns exactly what it receives. Think of it like this. If your vibration is an antenna, then every time you worry, second-guess, or obsess over the how, you start switching stations. You're tuning away from the song you want to hear and into static. Not because you're bad at manifesting, but because no one taught you that clarity comes from stillness, not strategy. So what does it mean to be still? It doesn't mean passive, it doesn't mean emotionless, it means your system is no longer leaking frequency. It means you're no longer chasing your desire with a vibration of lack. It means your signal has stopped sending mixed messages. And that's when the field gets the message, clearly, cleanly, without contradiction. This is also why so many people feel exhausted by manifestation. Because they're spending hours trying to emit the right thought, the right feeling, the right ritual, all while internally vibrating the opposite. They're saying, "I have it," while radiating, "I don't." They're declaring, "It's done," while emotionally signaling, "I hope this works." But the field is conscious, not like a mind, like a mirror. And it doesn't grant what you request, it collapses what you are. This is where quantum manifestation reveals itself, to be deeply honest, even spiritual. Because you can't trick a conscious field. You can't bypass your own frequency. You can only become coherent with the version of reality you claim to want, or not. So what does coherence actually feel like? It feels like calm anticipation. It feels like inner certainty that has no attachment to proof. It feels like acting, speaking, and moving from a place of already mine, not to convince yourself, but because that's the only thing that makes sense anymore. It feels like having so much trust in the invisible that you stop needing the visible to validate it. When you're in that state, you don't chase the outcome. You don't even try to hold the frequency. You become the frequency. And from that moment on, life doesn't shift because you willed it. It shifts because it no longer has a reason not to. The quantum field isn't holding your desires hostage. It's holding them in place, waiting for you to match them, not in your words. In your energy, not in your logic, in your alignment, not in your timeline, in your stability. And here's the most misunderstood part of it all. Forcing doesn't just block the signal, it blocks your ability to receive. Because the moment you start controlling the how, you shrink the path of possibility. You take a limitless field and reduce it to your own narrow lens of how things should unfold. But the quantum doesn't follow your schedule. It follows your signal. And when that signal becomes silent, grounded, and unmistakably coherent, that's when things begin to accelerate. Not because you demanded them to, but because the field has no other choice. You're no longer broadcasting possibility. You're broadcasting reality. So the invitation is simple, not to do more, not to vibrate harder, but to tune deeper, to listen to your own frequency as closely as you expect the universe to, and to feel when you're emitting noise, and choose instead to return to clarity. Because here's the secret no one tells you. The field doesn't just hear what you say. It feels when you've finally stopped waiting. And that's when it arrives. Not as a reward, but as a match. Most people believe that manifestation is something that happens in the future, that it's the result of something they do now. But in the quantum field, there is no later. There is only now. And if your frequency is always tuned to soon, the field will mirror that endlessly. Because soon is not a timeline, it's a signal. And if you're vibrating almost there, then almost is exactly what will be reflected. So when does the manifestation actually arrive? Not when you convince yourself it will. Not when you say the perfect phrase or visualize in high definition. It arrives the moment your energy no longer argues with your vision. The moment you become a clear vessel for what you've been broadcasting. The moment the quantum field, conscious as it is, feels no resistance left in you. It happens in the absence of force, and it often sneaks in. Not as a miracle descending from the sky, but as a timeline you almost didn't notice you had shifted into, because the version of you that receives what you've been asking for, they don't wait for confirmation. They live as the confirmation. This is where so many people get confused. They think letting go means giving up. But letting go doesn't mean releasing the desire. It means releasing the need. It means no longer gripping the outcome so tightly that your vibration becomes rigid, tense, and unreadable. It means trusting that the field isn't ignoring you. It's simply waiting for a stable signal. Think of the field as a tuning fork. If your energy is vibrating at uncertainty, anxiety, or obsession, it can't sync with the reality you want, no matter how much you want it. But the moment you stabilize in the frequency of, "I'm already living it," you create resonance. That resonance collapses potential into experience, not as a favor, as a law. And what does that look like? It looks like walking through your day with a quiet knowing. It looks like taking inspired action without needing it to work. It looks like smiling at the idea of your manifestation before it even shows up, because you no longer depend on it to feel aligned. It looks like inner peace before the outer evidence. It looks like living inside the vibration, not checking the calendar for results. Because here's the truth. Quantum manifestation doesn't reward effort. It responds to identity, and your identity is not who you say you are. It's who you're being, breath by breath. So how do you make that shift? You stop chasing. You stop waiting. You stop rehearsing your future like it's a play you're not allowed to join yet. And instead, you enter it. Through vibration, through coherence, through choosing to feel, think, and act like the version of you who's already home. This is what Neville meant when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." This is what Joe Dispenza meant when he said, "To change your personal reality, you have to become someone else." This is what Abraham meant when they said, "Let go of the oars and the current will carry you." They were all pointing to the same truth. You can't receive what you're not aligned with. And alignment isn't something you achieve. It's something you allow, so ask yourself, what would it feel like if it were already here? Not what would you do? What would you feel? Would you still be refreshing the screen? Asking for signs? Running another technique? Or would you simply exist in the energy of certainty, softness, and embodiment? Because that's the point of collapse. That's where the quantum responds. When you are no longer performing your alignment, but living it. When you no longer vibrate, "I hope it works," but instead radiate, "This is who I am now." And that shift is quiet. So quiet that it doesn't need to be validated. So quiet that most people miss it because they're still listening for something loud. But the field hears it instantly because the silence of true coherence is unmistakable. So maybe this isn't about manifesting something. Maybe it's about becoming someone. And maybe the version of you who has already made the jump isn't in the distance. Maybe they've just been waiting for you to tune in. In the next section, we'll break the pattern of holding the frequency for a moment and losing it the next. We'll go deeper into the process of sustaining the shift and what it means to build a life that reflects your alignment instead of constantly chasing it. Let's move forward. There's a reason you keep slipping out of the frequency even after feeling so aligned. It's not because you're weak. It's because you've been wired to survive, not to surrender. And for most people, surrender feels unsafe. You've spent years believing that control equals power, that action equals progress, that planning, fixing, adjusting constantly adjusting, is what keeps you safe. But in the quantum realm, control isn't power. Coherence is, Joe Dispenza once said. When you're living in survival, you're trying to predict the future based on the memory of the past. That's not creation. That's repetition. Let that sink in. Every time you drop out of alignment and fall into grasping again, thinking just one more practice will unlock the door. You're not creating your future. You're looping your old emotional signature. You're transmitting doubt with a costume of effort. And the field, conscious and exact, reads it perfectly. So how do we stabilize this frequency? How do we stop slipping back into old patterns, even when our heart knows better? It starts with understanding this. The field doesn't just respond to your moment of alignment. It responds to your sustained embodiment. Think of coherence like tuning a violin. You might strike the right note once, that's your meditation, your affirmation, your moment of clarity. But if you don't maintain the string, the pitch drifts. Not because you failed, but because energy naturally follows your attention. And when your attention goes back to doubt, to time, to results, your vibration follows. That's not sabotage. It's physics. This is where Neville Goddard's wisdom becomes more than poetic. He said, "Change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live." He wasn't talking about surface-level self-esteem. He was talking about state of being, about becoming the version of you that doesn't wonder if it's coming because they're already living it. About replacing intellectual belief with vibrational consistency. But this doesn't happen in one breakthrough. It happens in the 1,000 quiet decisions you make every day. When your old self says, "Check if it's working," and you say, "No, I trust the field." When your mind says, "Let's try harder," and your body says, "Let's breathe deeper." When your energy says, "Force it," and your soul says, "Anchor it," that's when you begin to shift from effort to stability. That's when the timeline you've been waiting for stops being a vision and becomes a frequency you walk inside of. Abraham Hicks described this as the art of receiving. They said, "You don't have to figure it all out. You just have to be in the place of allowing." Allowing isn't passive, it's precise. It's an energetic agreement that says, "I'm available now," not when it shows up, now. And the quantum field? It listens for that. That's why people who try less often manifest more. Not because they care less, but because they carry less resistance. They've stopped begging. They've stopped checking. They've stopped needing the universe to prove itself. Because when the signal becomes pure, it becomes irresistible. So if you find yourself slipping again, good. It means you're paying attention. It means you're close enough to feel the difference between tension and alignment. It means your nervous system is awakening to a new way of being. And in that moment, the most powerful thing you can do is pause. Not react, not fix. Just pause and breathe. Feel the pattern trying to repeat and choose not to follow it. Feel the fear rise and let it move through you without grabbing it. Feel the urge to chase and return to your center instead. Because that moment, that tiny internal shift, it tells the field, something is different now. And the field, conscious as it is, will meet you there. So here's your invitation. Simple, powerful, and immediate. Drop this phrase in the comments below if it resonates with you. I trust the field. Say it not to manifest something. Say it to claim that you've stopped chasing. Say it to align your words with your energy. Say it because it's already yours. And in the next section, we'll complete the loop, not with another technique, but with the reminder that mastery is a frequency, not a skill, and that you were never meant to force your way forward. You were meant to tune your way home. Ready? You've heard the teachings, you've practiced the methods, you've visualized the outcomes. But maybe what you've been searching for all along isn't another tool. It's a deeper remembering. Remembering that you're not here to beg for reality to change. You're here to realize that you are the reality changer. Not through force, through frequency. And that frequency becomes stable the moment you refuse to collapse into effort again. The moment you stop rehearsing your worthiness and start radiating it. The moment you stop asking, "How do I get it?" and start asking, "How can I relax into it more deeply?" This isn't just manifestation, this is energetic sovereignty. Because when you stop forcing the quantum field to deliver, it starts listening more closely. Not because you finally earned it, but because you finally aligned with it. You've stopped screaming, you've stopped doubting, you've stopped negotiating with time and circumstance, and you've started broadcasting clarity. That's what changes timelines. You shift from being the seeker to the signal. You stop trying to control and start allowing with precision. You no longer ask, "When will it arrive?" You ask, "How can I keep embodying the version of me who already lives there?" And the universe, quiet, intelligent, coherent, answers through resonance. It rearranges circumstances in ways your mind couldn't plan. It moves people, ideas, opportunities, and synchronicities into place with elegance. Not because you forced it, because you tuned to it. And the version of you who's already magnetic? They're not in the future. They're one decision away, one breath away, one deep, silent agreement with yourself away from stepping forward and saying, "Wait, I'm done performing for my dreams. I'm ready to become them." Because once you stabilize in the energy of already, you stop chasing. You stop faking. You stop holding the vibration like it's a performance. You just live inside it, like it's your natural state. Because it is. The old paradigm taught us to manifest through control. But this path, the path you're now walking, is about manifesting through coherence, through regulation, through spiritual stillness. And that stillness? It's not weakness. It's power. The kind of power that doesn't need to push. Because it already knows it's aligned. So here's the truth. You don't need another ritual. You don't need another sign. You don't need another external confirmation. You need your own permission to stop trying, to stop fixing, to stop sending the field 10 different messages with 10 different vibrations, and to start transmitting one clear signal. I am now. I am ready. I am already it. That's the frequency that unlocks timelines. That's the vibration the field has been waiting for. And that's the space where reality bends, not because you commanded it, but because you finally became coherent enough for it to trust you. So if this video touched something in you, if something softened, realigned, or clicked into place, then subscribe. Not because you have to, but because you know this space is resonating at the level you're ready to live at. And you're not here to chase anymore. You're here to remember. Let's keep walking this frequency together.